Okay, I think I am live. I'm going to wait for some people to show up so that we will get started. I'm going to put some links in the comments for you. Okay, hopefully some people are going to show up. If you're here, drop a comment just so I know that people are here or that you can hear me. If you need my handbook for Teach Me Cricut Design Space, I'm posting the link in the comments. Um, hey, Joanne! What was I going to say? Okay, so I'm going to try to check into the comments to kind of check what's going on, but I tend to get going on my video and lose track of who's in the chat, but I will circle back to the chat for questions and stuff. Okay, so the second link that I'm posting is for my personal session. That is for if you're like trying to do one project. Like, oh my gosh, I want to make matching Christmas shirts for everybody to wear Christmas morning. How do I do this design, Sean? You can book a one on one personal class with me to just get through one project. If you'd like to do a personal class with me where you learn everything there is um, for the basics of getting started, what every button does in Cricut Design Space, that would be my full Teach Me Cricut Design Space personal one on one session. So I've now posted 3 links to the comments. Joanne, since you're one of my moderators, maybe if people need those links, you could copy and paste them back down again for people. But the first link is for my handbook. So that's going to show you all the buttons in Cricut Design Space and how to use them. It takes you to little links of short little videos just on that one button. Okay. The next one is my personal class. So if you're trying to make one project and you're like, I'm stuck, I need Sean's help to just guide me, book a personal session with me. It might only last a half an hour to an hour. But if you want to learn what every button does in Cricut Design Space, you can book my personal one-on-one Teach Me Cricut Design Space course. I just did one of these this morning. I want to say it was just under 2 hours, and we literally went through every button of what it does and how to use it. And it was great. I feel like the person that took the course came away really understanding Cricut Design Space. So I am now going to get started with how to upload an image. First off, I'm going to just hide this Teach Me Cricut Design Space. I will pop back and check on the comments. So first off, if you are going to upload an image that you find on the internet, I strongly recommend starting with a coloring book style image. And what do I mean by that? I mean something like this, where it doesn't have any colors. It's just the outline of the image. This is going to help you start practicing and really learn the process of uploading. So you can see, it looks like a coloring book. It's something you could color in. To upload things with lots of colors takes more time. So start with the basics and work yourself up. You'll see a lot of my images start off with just a black and white, and then I will color them in later in Cricut Design Space, okay? Like something like this. How do you find them? Go to Google. For this one, I typed in Stitch coloring page. That was it. Then I found the image I liked. I right clicked on it. I saved it to a folder on my computer. that I could easily find. Like I have one on my desktop that just is called images, and I have them sorted and filtered out by the different kinds of images there, like Disney or whatever. Okay. Um, okay. So let's start off by uploading the image that I had posted in the group. It looked like a little squirrel. So we're going to click on upload, and then we're going to hit browse. Now you're going to navigate to where that folder is, where I told you to save the image. So here's my little squirrel. I'm going to open him. Okay, this first screen is asking us, is this a simple image, a moderately complex image, or a very complex image? So simple is going to be high contrast colors, black and white coloring book images. Moderately complex is like, maybe if there was a little bit of fine detail like the fur lines inside this squirrel and maybe a couple colors. Complex are your really, like your photographs and your really multi-layered, lots of shadowing images. Okay, so for this, we're going to click simple because it's just a black and white image. It's simple. Always, 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 when you're learning this process, start with a coloring book style image and use simple just to get comfortable with it. Once you've had success there, you'll start playing with other things like I did and you'll really get excited. Okay? We're going to hit continue in the lower right corner. So let's take a look at what's in here. We have a magic wand that helps us to select and arrange large areas of space. You can literally click on anything that's the same uniform color and it will remove. The eraser tool has a little slide bar so you can change how big your eraser is. See, that's really big now. And with this one, you are going to have to manually drag the eraser around to erase areas. Just like you would have to do with a pencil eraser, you'd have to erase areas. The cropping tools, if you decide you just wanted the squirrel's face, you could crop this down just to be his face and take away stuff you don't want. Okay? Over here, if you make a mistake, undo. If you want to go forward again, redo. Zoom in and out. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. There we go. All right, I'm just going to check the comments and make sure everybody's still keeping up with us. Okay, no comments. I'm taking that as a good sign. Okay, so now we are going to go into advanced options right here. This is saying reduce colors. When I'm working with a coloring book style image, I like to reduce my colors to 2. This tells it just look for the black and the white, the harsh contrast. Don't look for any like kind of those really tiny pixeled shadings around the black outline that are kind of grayish. Okay, it's going to look harsh black and white difference. I'm going to now use the magic wand and click here. That took away all this background and it turned into a checkerboard. I'm going to move my little pop-up window and show you. If I hit preview right now, that is what the Cricut is going to cut. So we have a basic outline right now, but we wanted to cut all of these pieces separate. So I'm going to click inside every one of these white areas. And when it turns to that checkerboard pattern, that means it's transparent. It's like it's see-through. So you're removing the parts you don't want and telling the Cricut what you want it to cut. Let's get his teeth. Let's get this little dot in there. The little dots in his eyes. Okay, and now there's some little stray parts in here. Okay, so now I can zoom out and I can hit the preview button and I can see what it's going to cut is all of these black lines. Okay, but you're like, wait, Sean, I thought we were going to add color. We will. First, we got to get the outline so we can tell it where to put the color. Actually, I'm happy with that. Oops, I was zooming in. I wanted to zoom out. Okay, so we're happy with this. We're going to continue. This screen is where I see a lot of people go down the wrong path. It's kind of a pet peeve of mine because most of us are making cutting files. And with Cricut, this defaults to select the first one, which says right here, save as print, then cut. What does that mean? That means if you save this file this way, it's going to want to print this image from your home printer and then cut out the outside. No colors, no layers, no nothing. Flat image, cut around it like a sticker. Um, it's not what we were trying to do. We want to cut this image out so that we could cut it and put it on a card or a scrapbook layout or on a shirt. Um, so we have to click over here, save as cut image. I wish Cricut would have set this up differently because the Cricut is a cutting machine. It's not a printer. So why not default it to a cutting image? But I don't work for Cricut, so I wasn't able to give that input. Okay. So over here is where you can name it. This helps when you're searching for images. If you want to add a tags, to like, I use this on the shirt for my nephew, because then 10 years from now, when your neighbor wants the same shirt, you can find it because you put in some tags. Okay? I'm going to just check back in, see if everybody's with me or if we have any questions so far. You'd never used the advanced sites? I did use them when I first started, Joanne. And once I started using them, I was like, why wasn't I doing this all the time? It really helps to crisp up those lines and tell the Cricut, especially if you start working with uploading multicolored images, which is another class. Okay, so we're all good with this. We're saving it as a cut image, and we're going to go save. This is now in my uploaded images right here. I can insert this into Cricut Design Space, and it comes in really big, which is actually good. You'd rather have a bigger image that's high quality and scale it down than to start with something really tiny that's low quality. Okay? So there it is. If I hit make it right now, it's going to cut that black, everything in black. But Sean, we wanted to learn how to color this. I know, we're getting there. Okay. But, first things first, we got to get the image in here. Okay, so now I'm going to right click on this and duplicate. So now I have two of them. I'm going to move the black one over here and scoochy this one over here. The other way I duplicate is to click on it. There's a duplicate up there. I do like the Cricut Design Space will, for most things, give you two ways to do things. So it's whatever you're comfortable with. Okay, so let's say we want to make the main part of the squirrel brown. I'm going to change this to brown. And now I'm going to use contour. Contour opens up a new screen. This screen allows you to turn on and off portions of the cut so that you can create your colored layers. Now, I'm going to start off by clicking on this part of actually I'm going to click on the main part of the squirrel, okay? While I click here to hide this contour, I want you to watch what happens right over here. See how I filled him in? Isn't that great? Okay, so if you wanted to make this whole thing solid, you could hide all contours. And now you can see the whole thing went solid. I actually like to do that for my backgrounds, for my background piece. Okay, so let's keep playing with this. So now we're just going to turn on and off everything until we get the image we want. So basically we're turning off everything we do not want to be brown because right now we're creating am working on the brown layer. And there. And if you're able to kind of see around the corner, you can see how some of those things are turning off as I click on things. So, oops, I hit the wrong one. That happens. Okay, so now in here, to get these little guys, I can zoom in. Or I can scroll through here. And it really depends on what you're working with, but sometimes this is harder, sometimes this is easier. I can tell this guy looks like a plus, so I'm guessing it's one of those guys, so I can turn it off that way. You can also kind of see things that are turned on are darker, so then they go lighter when you turn them off. Okay, so, okay, so now if I slide this over here, it's like I colored in, oops, it's like I colored in my squirrel on a coloring page. Now, as long as you left everything the same size, it doesn't really matter right here if things line up perfectly, because this is just where you're going to have things sitting. You know, like see how I'm trying so hard to get that black line just exactly around the image. If it doesn't line up perfectly here, don't worry, because you where you really want it to line up perfectly is after you cut it. As long as you kept everything the same size, you are fine. I just noticed his little squirrel teeth are brown, and we don't want that. So I'm going to click over here. Here's another thing I like. Instead of having to click on here and then accidentally selecting the black, I can click over here on the layer, so I can say, I'm just want to work with the brown. Contour. I'm going to go in and find his little teeth and turn those off because we want him to have white teeth. Okay, I'm going to check in with you guys and see if anybody's posting comments. No comments or questions, so I'm going to keep cruising. Okay, so now I'm going to actually, hey, if you ever do something like that, just go undo. There we go. I'm going to click here and duplicate the brown. And I'm going to make it yellow. So now I'm going to create the layer that's the sun. You can kind of see the pieces disappearing off to the left. And there's some little tiny ones in there. And actually, I could probably find them really easily in here. So there's a big circle, that's got to be the sun, right? Because what else in here is a perfect circle? Yes, there's like his eyes, but those aren't perfect circles. Okay, so let's turn off these things. There we go. There's our sun. Okay, so now I'm going to just save this where it's at while I check back in again and see if anybody has any questions. I really thought people were going to ask more questions. You guys are just so quietly watching and learning, I'm hoping. Okay, so now because I made each one of these as a separate layer, when I click make it, it's going to break it up for me. Here's my brown, it'll cut that. Or, God, if I knew my colors, it'd be good. Here's my black, it'll cut that. Here's my brown, it'll cut just that. Here's my yellow, it'll cut just that. So the Cricut's already going to break it apart for me in colored layers. Another tip, once you have all your layers built, I like to take my black background piece and make it a solid piece. Oh, come on. My computer just got wacky with me. Don't you hate it when you're trying to teach somebody something and your computer decides to have a mind of its own? Okay, so I'm clicking on the black piece and I'm going contour. And I'm going to hide all contours. This makes the whole thing a solid black piece. You can now see that my brown piece is not showing up. So what I'm going to do is go arrange and send this to the back. Okay, so why do I like to have a solid black piece instead of the coloring book? That is because when I layer this, if I'm doing this as a decal and if I can't line up my pieces so that the squirrel is perfectly within his boundaries, I don't have to worry. Like maybe my black border will be a little bit wider over here than it is over here. At least it works. Um, if I did those outlines, especially if you're doing this on a shirt, where like when you press that first layer, the black layer, vinyl can shrink a little bit. So if you had just the outline, it shrinks, you're going to see your shirt through the gaps. Where if I press a more solid piece, then if it shrinks a little, it's just going to be a thinner outline versus being able to see the gaps between the pieces. I hope that makes sense. Um, I know some people will say you have to slice your your vinyl so that each piece of vinyl is having contact with the shirt. It's not necessarily true. I have done many a shirt where I layer the vinyl just one on top of each other. If it's for a decal on a water bottle, there you can do as many layers as you want. Um, I think on a shirt, 3 or 4 is about my max before it starts to feel stiff. So that's how you do this. You just keep building those layers. Um, and if does anybody have any questions? If not, I'm gonna stop this video and it'll be in the group. But yeah, I would literally just keep coming along and going duplicate and making layers. So now I can make this one. Now, problem is like my acorns and everything are all gonna be kind of brown. So, oh, here, let's do that color brown. It's like I started thinking about that after I picked this image. I'm like, but they're all shades of brown. But that happens with some of our projects, right? It's all shades of the same couple colors. And that's why you want the layers, so that you can tell the colors apart. So now I would move this guy in here. Kind of fun. So if you want to learn even more about this, my Teach Me Cricut Design Space handbook is available on my website. It's a free download, and I will walk you through all the different buttons and to little videos similar to this where you can learn these different techniques. If you need help, like maybe you're starting to panic about Christmas presents already and you want to make something but you're not sure how to execute it and you just want a little one-on-one help with me, I would do a project specific class. And then if you want to learn all the buttons and functions, sign up for my Teach Me Cricut Design Space class. It's a one-on-one. With that, I go through all the buttons. I show you how to do it. It takes an hour and a half to just under 2 hours to go through everything. I record the session and then email that recording to you. So that's really great because then you can watch it again and again and again later so that you can refresh your memory when you need to. So if you don't have any questions, I might just kind of keep filling this guy in and then I'll stop the video, but the video will be available on the group forever, so you can come back to look at it. And then those links should also be there. Um, Also, if you haven't already done so, sign up for my newsletter. It's right on the front page of my website, seanmosh.com. And then you'll get announcements when I'm going to be doing events like this, or if I'm doing a special deals on teaching classes, or if I have a brand new tutorial that I'm like, oh my gosh, you have to see this, um, then you'll be the first to know about that. And if you ever have questions for me, and you're like, oh, Sean, how would I do this? You can email me. My email is seanmosh, all one word, at gmail.com. And sometimes I might send you a link to a video or a tutorial. But if my video or tutorial doesn't help you like you were hoping it would, then we could look at doing a one-on-one session. All right? Okay, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this helped you. Um, Tiffany, if you need to watch it from the beginning, that's great. Once I end the video, it should be on here forever. Um, but yeah, let me know if you have any questions. I'll check back later and see if people posted questions after the video. All right? So just remember that these are Cricut cutting files. So we're uploading images from the internet that we found, saving them as a Cricut cutting file. This is not an SVG file. If anybody tells you you can make an SVG file in Cricut Design Space, they are incorrect. The only way to make a true SVG file is with a program like Inkscape. I have a whole thing about that on the group. Maybe I'll link that in this comments of this tutorial. All right? Hope you enjoyed this and it helped you out. Thanks.